ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Global Healthcare Heroes. Remember, if you are in healthcare, you're a hero. Today we have Mr. Kurt Schroeder with us, who is a nurse by trade. And we welcome Kurt. Welcome, Kurt, to the show.
Well, thank you very much, Manjeet, and thank you for having me and allowing me to speak about our association. You probably want to know a little bit about me, and I'll tell you a little bit about my background in nursing. I've been a registered nurse since 1995, and I've been practicing the whole time. I've done everything from floor nursing to charge nursing to nurse manager. I've spent really all my time in the hospital. My specialty area is acute inpatient physical rehabilitation. So acuity-wise, I'm on the other end of the spectrum. Our folks are getting better and they're going home and they're having OT and PT and speech therapy. It's a wonderful place to practice because you really get to see them get better, progress, and go home and get to know them and spend a little bit of time with them as well. So as I said, I graduated in '95 with my Bachelor of Science in Nursing. I was one of those second degree folks like so many of us are. I was, not that long out of school, a couple years, but met a girl who was a nurse and thought about nursing for the first time. Right. I think my gender might have had something to do with that, not thinking about nursing originally.
Right.
I looked at it and thought, wow, that looks like an interesting profession, and there's a lot of different things you can do in that profession. That might be something I'd be interested in. So I actually took a job as a CNA to see if I would like it, which I recommend other potential nurses doing as well. I loved it. Went back and got my Bachelor of Science in Nursing.
Right.
That was back in Connecticut, where I'm originally from. Now I'm in Colorado. And I've been practicing in the hospital ever since. I went back to school and got my Master of Science in Nursing with a concentration in education. Love that. I've never taught formally in a university setting. However, I do talk and encourage and teach related to professional growth and development. And I'm very interested in nursing career paths. My wife's also an RN. So nursing and healthcare is near and dear to our heart, and we love folks like you, Manjeet, who are out, promoting or rather, encouraging and reinforcing the things that we're doing for society, because we do it as a labor of love, but it helps society in general. So that's a little bit about my background, a little bit about that.
And you mentioned something very interesting that when you were thinking about the career, you were not quite sure about nursing and male in nursing. Definitely, we are going to focus more on that in this interview. I really want to ask you, I definitely can tell you're passionate about nursing and especially the male nursing. I want to ask you about this American Association of Male Nursing. Why did you join? How this all came up? And what do you do as a part of the organization currently?
Sure. So the American Association for Men in Nursing, I emphasize for because I'll tell you why in a minute, was founded in 1971. Obviously by a male nurse. In those days, in the early 70s, there were very few of us in the profession. And the name was originally Assembly for Men in Nursing. And I think it was really a bit of a refuge for folks who were male to come together in such a female-dominated profession. Still female-dominated, but we have evolved so much and grown so much. Our percentage, depending on what source you look at, we're about 12% of the nursing population. Again, originally the formation, I think, was just a matter of reaching out to someone who perhaps was coming up against some bias because of gender. Again, we've evolved a lot from that, but the organization now is really there to encourage more men to go into nursing. You know, again, 12% is not representative of the male population at large. We think that it's important to have that representation and inclusion from all different walks of life, if you will. That's gender, yes, but it's also ethnicity. It's also where you're from. You know, it can be a lot of different things. So our organization, again, promotes men to come in as nurses. We also promote the things we're doing as men in nursing. We look to each other's examples. We look at leaders. We look at innovators. We say, hey, what's that person doing over there in California? What research is that person doing in Connecticut? How can we get that research out there? The research that we look at is staffing, which I know you have an area of interest in. Also men's health issues, which sometimes don't get overlooked. And also educating men related to their health. So the organization is there for a lot of different reasons. We support each other's growth and development, and you know, we want to have more men enter the profession. And so I want to get back to my comment on the emphasis of the word for.
Right.
So we're the American Association for Men in Nursing, not of men in nursing. That's an important distinction to make, because, you know, while we promote men in our profession, you know, it's not an exclusivity thing. You know, if you're a female, we want you to join, and a nurse, we want you to join our organization. You can be for men in nursing and not be a male.
Right,
So,
but that actually leads me to a next question. That is it only for the men's, or can our female nurse force can be a part of your organization? So
absolutely not just for men. We encourage our female colleagues to become part of our organization. We need that diversity within our organization, right? So, you know, I'm a member of the American Nurses Association. I'm a member of the Colorado Nurses Association. You know, the umbrella of the ANA, within that umbrella or under that umbrella, we have different groups. We have different associations, different constituencies. But each of those individual nursing associations needs diversity within the association. So we need gender diversity. We need different perspectives. We need feedback on what we're doing and trying to accomplish. So to answer your question, no. And it needs to get out there, Manjeet, because most people would make the logical conclusion that, well, it's only for men. And we want to educate our colleagues that it's not only for men. And we welcome you and we want you to join our organization. And a lot of our members are students, and at various universities and colleges. You know, we want those male and female nurses working side by side and working on issues and initiatives. So yeah, no, please come aboard. We'd love to have you.
I appreciate the clarification there, Kurt. You know, our nation, not only nation, but globally, we have gone through this pandemic, the coronavirus and things like that. Now, I want to ask you, what, when it comes to the community level, do you, the part of the association, is it just like a big national, or you can come down to and be a participant in the community? Like, what is the formation? Do you have a community-based project?
Excuse me, sorry. Yeah, so great question, Manjeet. So we have our national organization where we're a nonprofit organization. We have bylaws, we have officers. And I would like to say that I'm not an officer on the national level. So my comments today are my own. That said, I work very closely with our national president, Blake Smith, who is in Nebraska. He's a great leader, tons of energy, and does so much for our community. Mike Ward is our vice president, and he's in Texas. Our past president and and great leader. Brett McWilliams is in Wisconsin. We have people all over. So our officers, and we actually have a foundation as well, our officers on the national level oversee national. That's fairly obvious. Then we also have chapters locally, to answer your question. So right now we have about 26 chapters that are local. Some of those chapters are university or college based. Some of them are community based, meaning, you know, more practicing RNs out in the community. So it really runs the gamut. We encourage chapters to form, and we encourage the formation by leaders in those local areas that may want to take on initiatives that are specific to their local area. So my role in our association is I'm a volunteer. We're all volunteers, by the way. And a guy like...
Thanks for doing what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I get a lot out of it too, and that's why you know, people should join, because it helps with my personal professional growth and development.
Absolutely.
And those of our members. So we do encourage the local chapters. Again, my role in our organization is volunteer, but I do sit on a committee. We have 5 different committees. One of those committees is membership and chapter organization. I am the chair of the Western region for that committee for membership and chapter formation. So if Manjeet says, hey, I want to form a chapter here in Dallas-Fort Worth, I might say to you, well, you know, we have an existing chapter in Dallas-Fort Worth. Why don't I put you in touch with the local leadership,
right,
who has their own organizational structure? We provide the template that stays in line with our mission statement, our values as an organization, but they can do small tweaks on it. For instance, some local chapters have dues, some do not.
Right.
And then on the national level, our dues, we all pay dues for a professional practicing nurse. It's $100, which if you look at relative to other associations, that's a really, really incredible deal.
Right. And that's yearly.
I'm sorry, say again?
And that's yearly.
That's
$100 a year.
Yes, for a full year, not the calendar year, but from the time you join, 365 days.
Okay.
And then if you're a student, it's a $30 membership. And we have varying levels of membership. LPNs can become members. We have different membership levels. So again, we encourage that local chapter formation. And Manjeet, for the individual out there looking to form a local chapter, they can be a student. You know, even on the national level, we have, you know, doctorally prepared, well-known, renowned nurse leaders. Then we also have leaders who are just out of school.
In fact, that's something I wanted to ask. Does this organization only you can join after you are graduated as a
No, definitely not. And to the extreme on that, Manjeet, we even have a high school student membership at $15 a year.
Amazing.
And why do we do that? Because we're encouraging those young men to think about nursing as a possible career choice. You know, I was one of those in the 90s when I was in college, and in the 80s when I was in high school. First time I was in college in the 80s, and then when I went back to school, it was the early 90s for nursing. Point being, though, you know, no man ever came up to me and said, "Hey, Kurt, you might want to think about a profession in nursing. There's so many different things you can do, you know, from nurse practitioner, you can get your doctorate's degree, you can get your master's degree, you can do CRNA.
Not enough awareness.
Yes, exactly. And until you see those role models, people out there doing it,
right,
you don't think about it. Or if you have someone mention it, you don't think about it. So it's really important for us as an association to get the word out so that we can help individuals formulate career choices, but also on the larger scale, help our nursing numbers, because as a profession, as you well know, we have a nursing shortage. If we can get more men into the field of nursing by encouraging them, showing them the success that other men have had, and showing them, how wonderful it's been in our own personal lives and how we've developed as professionals. They may say, hey, I'm a caring individual. I like to help people. I could see myself doing that. And to let them know that there's so many different paths you can take, from academia to business to practice on the highest levels. It's very important to convey that message. And as an association, we do that. One of the programs we have, Manjeet, is a program called Future RN. And that is, we have PowerPoint presentations, and we go to our local membership and local chapters and say, hey, you guys, you might want to, and gals, men and women, you might consider going out to the high schools in your community. We have a presentation already prepared. You can talk about the great profession of nursing, and you can speak to both, to the whole student, juniors and seniors, or whatever it may be, male and female. But the fact that you're a man and coming and showing that you love the profession, and you're making an impact on people's lives, and you're doing good things, and it's rewarding to you personally, that's going to affect 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 people in that audience. And that is a positive outcome for us as an association, and goes to our mission. So, local membership is key. And again, you can do so much and have autonomy, and we promote that, encourage that, but those local leaders can't help but to grow professionally through their involvement with the association.
Very true.
And we're still small enough, Manjeet, that you don't get lost in the shuffle. And that's one of the things that attracted me to the professional association, is that I knew that it was a little bit smaller, and maybe I could make a difference, maybe I could do things. I didn't know I was going to get such a warm welcome from our leadership that I've gotten, and the encouragement to, hey, go out and make a difference and do these things if you choose to, if you'd like to, and we'll support you in those endeavors.
No, that's amazing. And Kurt, want to really highlight something very important. You said that the shortage of nursing in the workforce. In fact, I've been studying on this topic since 2013, and every year the numbers are really getting worse. In fact, we don't realize the problem is so much bigger. We just simply do not have enough population to take care of our aging population. And the hospitals are not enough. We do not have enough facilities. Neither do we have neither do we have the workforce to take care of our aging population. I really want to, even though you have touched a little bit on that, I want to hear more about how can the AAMN can be a solution to the workforce emerging problem. You did mention already, but is it also a part of that something that you intend to do, present a solution that will solve the workforce problem in the days to come?
Yeah, no question about it. We need to address our shortage, and we are not the solution. We are a small part of the solution.
Right.
But by getting more men into the profession, that in and of itself will improve our numbers, because it'll be representative of what you can do. Again, as human beings, we see things, we say, oh, I can do that because I've seen so-and-so do that. So that's a component of it, to have those males go into the profession. But also, within our membership, to encourage members to become academicians and to go into teaching and academia, because we need those professors as well, because we have a shortage in that area. A lot of times you hear, well, the shortage is secondary to the fact that we don't have the institutions We don't have enough schools and enough slots. You know, potential nursing students are getting turned away. You know, when I went to nursing school in the 90s, you know, you could knock on the door and say, hey, I'd like to come into the program, pretty much.
Pretty much, right. You want to be a nurse? Done.
Yeah, a little bit of an exaggeration, but yeah, you know, now there's a waiting list. So, you know, I'm very much personally, I'm very much about empowerment too. I mean, I would love to see nurses start nursing schools, more nursing schools. You know, I mean, I would love nurses to own the hospital. You know, I would love, empowerment. I'm not talking about male nurses here. I'm talking about nurses in general. All nurses take ownership of the healthcare landscape. You know, and part of that is, you know, our numbers and our nursing shortage. Part of the challenge, Manjeet, is we have so many options as nurses. So, you know, you may be in I'm the unicorn. I'm the anomaly that's been in the hospital for 25 years on the floor. In management, some of that, but on the floor, right? So a lot of people say, well, I'm going to go and do that. So that perpetuates our shortage a little bit, because you have this revolving door that, you know, people say, well, I can go, you know, be a nurse practitioner, write scripts, manage people's medical care, right? So now you have that flow out as well. But there's a shortage in that area too. So we're short in general. And I think, you know, the more people that can get into healthcare, male or female, the better. The more people from different diverse backgrounds that can get into healthcare, the better. You know, I think international nurses, you know, and we encourage nurses to join our association outside of the States.
In fact, I wanted to ask you this question. Is it only for national, or this is a YouTube channel, Global Healthcare Heroes, and the people will be watching them in different part of the world. So if they want to be a part of your organization, do you have an option for that, or do they only have to be an American national to be a part of the organization?
No, we absolutely have an option. We absolutely want you to inquire. We absolutely want your energy, your perspectives, your contributions, your innovation, your leadership. We want to learn from people globally, and we want to help people globally. So by all means, you know, just in the past 24 hours, I've been emailing a doctorally prepared PhD in Manila, and he actually was in the States, in Florida, for a while and practiced and has gone back. And he's asking that same type question, Manjeet, like, you know, is it possible? You guys are the American Association. Yes, that's our name. But we're inclusive, and, you know, globally, for what we do as nurses, our global workforce is something that we need to be aware of. We need to know what's going on from a healthcare perspective, and from a, you know, what's going on with the population and the challenges that they have, and then also the nursing population and how they're addressing those challenges. And we can learn from nurses outside of the United States and vice versa. So yes, absolutely, we'd love to have you form a chapter. What we do ask is we want to see your credentials. You know, you can be a nursing student, but we want to know you're in a program. We want to know that you're a practicing registered nurse. You know, we want to know a little bit about your background, but it is not a barrier, and we are inclusive, and we encourage membership. Absolutely.
Kurt, thank you very much for that answer. I'm sure many people around the globe will be encouraged and will be sending the queries to join the network, along with the people who are in the United States, especially our male nursing population or male in general. Wanted to ask you, you did say that it's a fairly new organization. Have you started hosting the yearly annual conferences, or that is yet to come?
Yeah. So we're new. We're not new. We're revitalized. I want to say that,
Right,
right?
right, right.
So in the past 5 years, you know, when Blake Smith and Mike Ward came on board, there's been a new energy. Our leadership is younger. I think it was a little bit um, older nurses before that, and we had a period in the early '70s where we had a lot of energy, and then it kind of waned, and then so year-wise, longevity-wise, we've been around for a while, but again, we are growing our numbers now, and and so we're re-energized. So, what was your original question again? What?
Do you have the yearly
Oh
conferences?
yes, I'm so sorry. I
Oh,
got. So we absolutely do. We have a conference every fall, and it's an opportunity for nurses from wherever, all over the world, but
wonderful.
predominantly the United States, to come and meet. It's a wonderful event. It's a multi-day event. I had the privilege of going last year to Orlando. Fantastic. I met Dr. Ernest Grant, who you probably know is the president of the American Nurse Association and has been involved with our association. Got to meet him, and there are so many people in attendance. There are people recruiting nurses because we have a large student population. There are also vendors, people from different healthcare organizations that are there. We have schools that are there. It's a wonderful event. We have guest speakers come in like Dr. Ernest Grant, people that will add value. You know, you get to meet the leadership, you get to meet your fellow nurses in different geographical locations. It was really a fantastic experience for me personally. Because again, I got to meet folks in person. It had been phone calls and emails and webinars and that type of thing. So this fall, we
Right.
were
Well,
scheduled.
where did it be this year?
Oh man, we're a little deflated at the moment, but not so much, and I'll tell you why. Because this fall we were scheduled, we had actually gotten a whole hotel. It was a smaller hotel in San Diego, and we are going to meet out there. Unfortunately, because of the state of our union right now, you know, we want to be safe,
Absolutely.
and we're not going to do that. So we are going to hold a virtual convention this year, and our leadership is working very hard on that. They really want to make it an experience that adds value to all participants. There, you know, like all of the conventions, there's a cost that's associated with it.
Right.
Because we're virtual this year, I think it's going to be very, very low,
Right.
which is wonderful because for those folks that are thinking about joining our association, please participate, you know, and you can go to our website, aamn.org, to learn about it. And that'll give you a window into what we do and what we're all about and how we're adding value to our constituency and the people that we serve. Yeah, we want to make it, you know, a lot of the associations are just flat out not having an event this year. And as far as I know, we're the only one right now doing it virtually. We want to be the model, the best practice for that going forward, and having a successful convention just to show that it can be done. So we're super excited about that and hope we have a big turnout.
Wonderful. Well, Kurt, I really wish you all the very success for that. And at the end, I just really want to, you know, with all the coronavirus and how bravery, our discipline has always been that way. We have always been hero, but it's just a new thing that the world have recognized our professions and we were called hero. And that what has led me to start this channel, that the Global Healthcare Heroes. Now, if you have opportunity, if, you would like to say a message to the frontline who have been taking care of the patients in the very frontline setting, what would your message be to those workforce? All
yeah, well, a couple of things. Number one is as you mentioned it, I think nurses, it happens to be the year of the nurse by the World Health Organization, right?
Right.
So yeah. But I think the general population is seeing the value of nurses and doctors, and you know, nurses and doctors are always talked about, but it's the phlebotomists, it's the people in the hospitals, you know, making sure that everything's clean, and it's everyone. It's all those people working together, and nurses especially. Obviously, I'm biased, but hey, we're the folks at the bedside. We're the folks talking to the family. We're the folks in patients' most vulnerable times when they need the most help. We're connecting with them. We're serving them. We do it because it's our calling. It's our mission. It's who we are as people. We are now getting recognition from the larger community, but we know what we do. And to those nurses out there, you know, many, many, many thanks from myself personally, but also from our association. You know, one of our leaders on our board of directors, Ian Saludaris, he's in New York City. He's on the COVID front lines. You know, people like that making an unbelievable difference. But it's not just those nurses working with COVID patients. It's the nurses, you know, just comprehensively, everything that they do. And yes, we're getting some recognition right now. And really, you know, out of sight, out of mind, you know, people and families don't really know what nurses do or their value until they have an event, until it's a family member who's sick and they're getting this care from a nurse, or it's the person themselves. And then they think, wow, you know, nurses do incredibly things. We know that as nurses, and that's what keeps us going. And that's why we do what we do. And so thank you to all the nurses out there. You know, join associations. You know, take pride in your profession. I know you already do, but you know, be proud of who you are as a nurse. Give back. You know, I look at early career nurses, mid-career nurses, late career nurses. That's me, and retired nurses. You know, whether you're just getting out there or you've been around for a long time, think what you can do for your fellow nurses. You know, encourage each other, say kind words, because we're all working tremendously hard. And it's a labor of love, but it is nice to get recognition from people. And so many thanks. And thanks to my nurse when she's taking care of me or he's taking care of me somewhere in the future, or my family member. Because what we do, Manjeet, is very, very special, very, very meaningful, and has huge importance to society. So I would encourage all people to think about a profession in nursing and how they can contribute. And you'll be rewarded personally for that, trust me. It'll come back to you tenfold. So
yeah, thank you. And Kurt, really, I appreciate you coming today and talking with us about the organization, and really want to take this moment at this time. You as Kurt, you are a hero. Thank you for all what you have done, and thank you for what you're doing every single day. And you did mention that your wife is a nurse as well.
yeah.
Please do convey our congratulations, our thanks. Do let her know that she is a hero. And
Yes.
Thanks for all you do.
Yes, thank you. And I happen to know your wife's a nurse as well, so thanks to her as well. And then anyone who would like to look at our association, you can go online. Please look at our leadership. Look at the initiatives that we're doing, and think about joining. And it's aamn.org, and you can always shoot an email to info@aamn.org if you want to be connected with someone locally who's in your area, or if you just have some general questions. We're all about helping, and we encourage you to do that.
Thank you, Kurt. And also, I will be typing that the name of the website in the description box as well. And thanks for all of you who have watched our episode today. If you have not already subscribed, I do request, please do subscribe. The intention is to celebrate our heroes, acknowledge them, and thank them for all what they do. And until we meet next time, remember, if you're in healthcare, you are a hero. Thank you, Kurt.
Thank you so much, Manjeet. Thank you to everyone out there.
Thank you.
God bless.
God bless.